right, we're having the second part of this interesting conversation on how broadband technology can make you live longer, perhaps save your life, and make your family, business, and personal life a lot better if we just have those easy access to technology that Funke Opeke, the CEO at Pt.1 Nigeria, has been talking about. Let's continue the conversation. And we just, before we came back, how all of this flow into first the broader economy, then we'll talk about personal lives and businesses and entrepreneurship.
Yes. Yeah, broadband has been proven to be an enabler globally and driver of growth in GDP. In fact, the World Bank statistics show for every 10% increase in broadband penetration, you get more than 1% growth in GDP. So you can see what kind of numbers that represents for Nigeria, given where we are at 20%. If we started increasing it to 50%, that's 3% GDP growth, which is more than is being forecast this year for Nigeria. So that single investment, how does that happen? Productivity gains in your traditional businesses, new business models, access to educational materials and knowledge over the internet, ability to deliver services. You have new outsourced business models coming out of Nigeria. You have companies like Andela, Outsource, that are serving businesses globally with Nigerian professionals from Nigeria online. So you're able to create employment, you're able to reduce the logistics cost. You don't have to come to Lagos to be a software developer. You could develop software from Maiduguri.
From Kogi State?
Anywhere.
That's my state. That's what
that's okay. Yeah, sure, exactly.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle, also,
yes.
somewhere there.
Yes.
Yes. So I could just sit down there and I could perhaps relocate.
Yes.
Because I have broadband.
Yes.
So the entire ease of doing business conversation really is about technology.
Well, in the 21st century, I think
I'm asking the obvious question.
Yes, given what we've seen elsewhere, it's about technology. I mean, you know, smart cities, smart cars. When you look at what's going on around the world, Internet of Things, you don't have to be there physically to get it done because the technology.
But now we still move around physically.
Now we still move around physically, and we're even challenged moving around physically. So the infrastructure challenges that we have are real. But what broadband helps us achieve is leapfrog some of that. Because now to get certain services, to get access to certain information, you have to physically show up.
I agree with you, because even in this news business, for example, for channels television and other broadcasters, you need so much investment because we don't have the type of broadband to have footprints all over the country at a snap of a finger, and you got a news up and running.
Yes, indeed.
So we can provide more news.
Yes, more news.
Better.
Exactly. More news, more
clean feeds.
Interest. Exactly. Global access and interest, so they can get that information in near real time of what's going on. So absolutely. Digital technology is an enabler, and we have some catching up to do. Infrastructure is really key. Nigerians have demonstrated the appetite. But if we are going to have the kind of impact that is possible, it needs to be done in a way that has a broad reach for Nigerians of a broader income category than we currently do. And so you have to think of creative ways of deploying and the right incentives for deploying that infrastructure in a shared way. So it's good quality, it's low cost, it's sustainable, and actually additive to our economy overall. And that's what we're trying to do.
In the new year, what are the key issues that you operators are putting before the current administration?
I think right-of-way is number one.
You want the government to get out of the way, or the government to give you the right of way?
We want the government to get out of the way and to give us the right of way. If we look at what's happening in countries like South Africa and Kenya that have started making tremendous progress and attracting huge FDI in these areas, there's a roadmap. Government needs to get out of the way. Right of way in Nigeria is about at least 10 times, in some instances 100 times more expensive than we're seeing in some of these other countries. And you have to admit that is slowing down development.
So our 30% fixed broadband penetration, I put a question mark there, is it still feasible in 2018?
Unless certain things change and the environment, there's enablement to make the investments, it's not going to happen.
what do you really want? You want interest rate to be lower, you need a better exchange rate? Speaking for the industry, what do you really want?
Speaking for the industry, I would say right-of-way and elimination of the multiple taxes that are layered on top of that are currently preventing or making it very difficult for operators to deploy infrastructure for broadband.
So if you're talking about the multiple taxes, so you've got to go across every state. Is it something that the government at the center can do, can help out?
The National Economic Council has gotten involved, and I think there's currently a paper in front of them to consider to harmonize these rates, and then not to come up with additional charges, because what you will have is the right-of-way is harmonized and will charge a low rate, but there are additional charges that we impose as a state or that a local government or for specific projects impose on top of that, that essentially get you back to where you started from. So we need an environment. I mean, deploying a network that's fragmented doesn't really help anybody because it doesn't really reach anybody. So you need to be able to build, as I mentioned, shared infrastructure, extensive infrastructure around the country. If we build a submarine cable to Akwa Ibom State, for example, we want to be able to extend that to River State and to all the neighboring Southeast states, because there's no way you're going to deliver the service or recover the investment unless you can reach more people. So it's not something that can be done for just a limited area. We've done it in Yaba. In the previous administration, we actually were able to do a concept project in Yaba where we deployed, we got free concessional right-of-way, and we deployed. And I think we're very proud today that Yaba is now recognized as the Silicon Valley of Nigeria. And when you go to that neighborhood and you see the economic revitalization that's taken place, the number of startups and young people who are living and working in Yaba, you see what this kind of broadband access can do. So there is a proven model in country, but what we'd like to do is really see that scale up and extend across the country to all the areas where young people are.
I'm looking at the industrial clusters. Where would you folks in the industry be moving next? Yeah, we've gotten Yaba up and running. Where is it? About Newi, Kano, Borno, wherever, Maiduguri?
I think the top 30 cities in Nigeria are prime. So in addition to the ones you mentioned, Katsina, Benin, even the Warri Sapele clusters, why we're not talking about Akure or Ilorin, going up, Sokoto. You really have to touch all these cities and start building or revitalizing them, making digital technology available so that the young people can have access to more opportunity. And that's what the internet brings.